So we all know that accessibility and simplification is a discussion that happens like every 1 to 2 months at this point in the FGC space.
Oh shit, here we go again.
But Capcom might have ended this conversation for good with this new mechanic that they recently revealed was going to be a part of Street Fighter 6. And honestly, the mechanic, even though I'm saying it's a new mechanic, it's not really all that new. It has been in past fighting games before, but it's been so long at this point that it might as well be a new mechanic altogether. And what is this mechanic?
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
It's just a simple mode. Now, you might be asking me why am I just gassing up a simple a simple modern mode or whatever, but it's like, it's something that has been a discussion for so long between like why fighting games are getting simpler or they're getting way too easy, or some people are hating the way modern fighting games are turning out to be, and some people think it's better for the community overall, and it's always a fight and it's always a discussion with new fighting games coming out. But with this new control type that's being added to Street Fighter 6, the modern mode, it's literally the answer that I feel like should have been the answer a long time ago. Is like, just add a simple mode for people to make it easier for them to get into the game, while also leaving the parts of the game that other people also like and also love about fighting games, leave it open for them to play the game how they want to play. Now, obviously when you go to Street Fighter's website, they have they have the whole layout for everything that's going on and the new mechanics that are being added. So you come down and it says control type. Now, obviously I'm going to read off what it says. Street Fighter 6 offers a new control mode to play without the need to remember difficult command inputs, allowing players to enjoy the flow of battle. Players who are delving into the world of Street Fighter for the first time, or those who haven't touched a fighting game in years, can jump right into the fray. Of course, the traditional control type of the series is still available for players who enjoy it. If you scroll down, it's literally, it's simplifying the controls basically. Everything's gonna be on one button. If you scroll down, you see Hadouken is on one button. Your specials are all gonna be on a direction plus a button, which is the direction that Grand Blue Fantasy Versus took, that a lot of people did enjoy. And even your ultimates or your specials, or your ultimates and your supers, are also gonna be on directions plus like 2 buttons, right? Which I feel like is pretty cool. Now, some people I was seeing online, there's no way this is gonna be like balanced, there's no way this would be cool, because it's like, why I gotta, if I jump in and someone just has to press one button to like anti-air me, this, that, and the third. And to me, it's like, I feel like this is the better alternative than actually switching the entire game's controls, because honestly, if we're being super real about it, the amount of time it's gonna take a new player to input, say like for right here it says Shoryuken is forward plus triangle. The amount of time it's gonna take for a new player to input this is gonna basically be the same amount of time it's gonna take for a veteran player to input the Shoryuken motion, I feel like. Because at that point, if you're a veteran player, a DP motion, you can mess it up, yes, you can mess up a DP motion, but if you're a veteran player, I feel like you know the input by heart so much, you do it so often at this point, that it's not going to take any time at all. The amount of time it's going to take you to do that is going to be the same amount of time it's going to take for a new person to do this input, I feel like. Me personally, that's just where I come from. Obviously, there's not going to be the exact same. It might be like a second off, and in fighting games, that split second might be the key to winning the match or not. But at the end of the day, you have to know, that's when your sense as a fighting game player kicks in. It's like, okay, are they gonna do this or not? You know what I'm saying? I feel like with this being the alternative for people who just want to hop into the game and don't want to have to practice as much, or don't want to have to take that amount of time to do that, they can hop in the game, pick it up, and play it. While the veteran players, they still have the classic control type, which doesn't change anything about what they already knew about Street Fighter before. You still have all your directions, you still have all your directional inputs, you still have all your, you can double press the buttons for the EX moves, you know what I'm saying? They also have the new mechanics to drive impact, which I'll probably make another video on the mechanics in general, but this is just for this control type specifically. Now, the argument I've heard before as to why people don't like modern controls or simple controls to be implemented in games, because I've heard that from what people have told me is like people who usually get bullied online because they use these, or new players get bullied by other players because it's like, why are you using this? This is for babies, this, that, and the third. I personally have never run into that, right? But I'm not gonna discredit their, I'm not gonna discredit their experiences. It's probably has happened before, which I think is a dumb thing to do, especially in this day and age. Back then I could see it happening a lot more, but in this day and age in fighting games, I feel like that's something that wouldn't really happen anymore, because now at this point a lot of people in the FGC are of the understanding that we have to get more people to play these games, and we have to get more people in to see why we love the games as much as we do. You know what I'm saying? So like making things easier, and especially with a bunch of content creators now trying to put out content to show that these games aren't as hard as they are, or aren't as hard as a lot of people think they are. And a lot of content creators now trying to push like easier ways to do things, and especially with a lot of like videos and tutorials pushing easier ways to do things. It's like, if they have this, it's a lot easier for them to try and push content like that to the beginner player, and show them that there is an easy way to jump into the game and having to do all the extra directions that might directional inputs that might deter them from playing the game otherwise. You know what I'm saying? And I also like this because it's another way to give the new player like a mental switch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get that mental switch in your head to tell you like, okay, or not to tell you, but like you decide to flip for when you want to get better at the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like a mental and a visual switch. Like, mentally you're like, okay, I want to get better at this game, I want to learn everything that this game has to offer, I want to try and go to the harder and do the harder things in the game. So you make that switch mentally, and then physically you make that switch by just pressing the classic control type. And now it's like, okay, this is a whole new portion of the game I have to learn now. I have to learn the DP inputs, I have to learn the super inputs, I have to learn the EX, how to do the EX moves by themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's like a visual sense of crossing that barrier that you want to get better at the game, which I think is really cool. And like I said before, like this really is really dope to me, because the last game I remember this being in for me personally was, I think, Marvel 3, Vanilla Marvel 3. I can't remember if it was in Ultimate. I don't think it was. But I remember specifically this was in Vanilla Marvel 3. And I remember this because at the time, when I used to play Marvel 3 with my cousins, obviously, like, it was my game, so I'd play the game more, so I knew more about it. They didn't have the game, but whenever they came over, they were always ready down to play with me, because there was this simple mode that they could press. So it's like, even though I'm over there doing the actual controls and doing the actual inputs for the characters, since I knew what they didn't have to learn all of that. They could just press a single button and basically be doing the exact same things I'm doing, and we're all just having fun together. You know what I'm saying? And even if it was a character that I didn't play, I could press the simple mode for that character and just play the character, with the same way they're playing it, with the press of a button and do a special or do a super or whatever, and we're all just having fun. So on a casual level, this is actually really dope. You know what I'm saying? And on an online level, it's still dope, because it lets players come in, hop online, not have to do that much training, not have to do that much, have that much time consumption in playing the game. And when they want to if they do actually want to train, they can just flip a switch and, practice the game how, I guess, higher level people will be practicing the game for when they want to get to that level. So I think overall this is actually a pretty dope mechanic, and it's something I think fighting games in the future, like if Street Fighter 6 actually does well, I think this is something fighting games in the future should all refer to try and implement into the games, rather than toning down the entire base games mechanics overall, or not mechanics, but base games controls and stuff overall. Because like I said, a lot of it's like, when it comes to toning down controls, it's very split 50-50 for a lot of people. But it's something like this, where it's like you can choose the control types you want. I feel like that's a way better option and a way better way to go about things in future games, especially to keep both sides kind of happy. You're never gonna make everybody happy, but I think this is something that can make both sides kind of happy, depending on how it's implemented and if it's done right. Obviously, there's the whole discussion of if moves should have different priorities and different attributes or whatever, because since like a Shoryuken is an invincible DP, is that really okay to have on a single button? But then you'd have to go into like game mechanics and all that. I'm not a game developer. I just click record and talk on the internet. You know what I'm saying? I don't go into the technical stuff. And let me know how you guys feel about it in the comment section down below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? With all that being said, that's gonna be it for me. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. There's gonna be more Street Fighter 6 content coming as well as other fighting games in general, so stay tuned for that. With all that being said, that's me for me. Thank you guys for watching, as always, and I'm out. So, boy.
What I gotta do to prove that I'm the best? Too many niggas say it with their chest, or better yet with their breasts. Can't keep my dick in my pants just as my ex. Pull up with a ski mask, pull up with fire and get niggas heat rap. Niggas be sleeping on me like I'm decaf. Bitches be dropping me crazy like defrag. They gon' have to drag me out of the booth. No wonder women need it, I am the truth. Hating niggas stay denying the proof. I show my ass, nigga, I am raccoon. Keep your mouth shut when I'm in the room. I stay dripping.